Welcome to When Life Gets Strange, tips for loving your perfectly imperfect military and everyday life. Let me introduce you to my wife and your host, Maria Strange. We have been married for over 20 years, over 17 years in the Army, and she is the mother to our 6 children, and we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. As a certified life coach, Maria's goal is to help you thrive and love your perfectly imperfect military and everyday life. Are you ready?
Hello, my beautiful, amazing, strong military wives. Today, on episode 31 of When Life Gets Strange, we are going to talk about intimacy that exists outside of sex. Now, before we get started, if you're enjoying this podcast, or if you're watching me on YouTube, would you please leave me a review? Would you like it and share it with others? Because that is how we're going to find more people and be able to share this. And my goal is to put so much good out into the world and to help you military wives learn that you are amazing, that you can love this perfectly imperfect military life of ours, that there is so much more than just being at the mercy of the military. So let's get on with today's topic. Intimacy exists outside of sex. And this one is so good because, ladies, I thought when we first joined the military and my husband was gone, like, we're going to lose that connection, that intimacy, because where's it at if it's not in having sex? I believe that that was it. And so as I've learned over the years, it is so much more than that. Now, we can be intimate with our spouse. We can also have a friend or a family member who we feel intimate with, because infinite is a close familiarity or friendship. There's a closeness, togetherness, affinity, rapport, attachment, familiarity, confidentiality, friendliness, camaraderie, companionship, amity, affection, warmth, understanding. And so all of those help to form intimacy. So today I'm going to talk about 4 other kinds of intimacy. The first one is emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy involves candid, authentic sharing of our thoughts and feelings. It involves being willing to share with each other our deepest fears and emotions, what drives us, all of the things. So to create this emotional intimacy while our spouse is gone, we want to confide in them. We want to share our good times and our hard times. And I know a lot of times when our spouses are gone, we fall into that we shouldn't share the hard things. And I just don't believe that, because the hard things can help us to grow closer together. So for an example might be, you have a child who is just really pushing your buttons, and you can share that with your spouse. Honey, this kid, we're really butting head this deployments, and I know he misses, they miss you and I miss you, and we're okay and we're working through it. And that person can listen, your spouse can listen and be like, yeah, I bet that's really hard, and might be able to come up with things, help you to brainstorm some other ideas to try. But that even though your spouse is gone, you're still together intellectually. You're still sharing ideals. You could talk about what you want out of your relationship. Like, how do you want your relationship to grow while you're apart? How do you want your relationship to grow while you're home? I know as my husband's getting ready, he has about 2 years left in the military, that we're having conversations about what life looks for like next. What do I want? What does he want? And how can we make that together? And that does bring us closer together. So some ways to foster, as I said, that emotional intelligence is having conversations, talking about the emotions and experiences that maybe you don't share with others. Ask questions, be curious, listen to what your spouse has to say, and really engage, like really listen to what they're saying, so that then you can respond. And be careful that you're listening to what their feelings are and not making them feel like they're not important. because as we know, our thoughts and feelings are. So, emotional intimacy. Go work on it. It's amazing. The next one, intellectual intimacy. Intellectual intimacy is when we can communicate beliefs and viewpoints without worrying about conflicts that may arise. Each person's allowed to have the freedom to think for themselves and believe that their opinions are valued instead of feeling like they have to agree. This encourages conversations, and you can feel closer to the person who cares for your independence or of differences and still respects your voice. And so you could have a conversation about the importance of a college education. Do your kids need to go to college? Does anybody need to go to college? Do they not? And maybe you and your spouse have a different opinion, or maybe you and one of your kids do, because we can create intimacy not only with our spouse, but with other people in our lives as well. Maybe you have a disagreement about who plays the best Joker, and you can hear the other person's and you can just enjoy that camaradereship of going back and forth. Read a book together and talk about it. I do that one a lot with my daughter. We'll read the same book so that then we can have a discussion about it. My son is at BYU and he calls me twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he shares about one of his classes that he's in and teaches me about it. And we have this discussion and we're increasing that intellectual intimacy. So have discussions where you guys might have different perspectives, and make sure that you talk about it without getting mad about each other. Really be able to listen and try and learn and grow. So this type of intimacy is about connecting through logic and philosophical expression. So how do you view things the same and different? And that can help you to grow. The third one is experimental intimacy. And what that is your inside jokes, your private memories, the things that happen between the two of you that help you feel more connected. Now, how can you do this when you're deployed, right? How can you have experimental intimacy when you're in different parts of the world? Well, you can set a goal that you both work on independently, but the same goal, right? So maybe you both want to lift weights, and you're going to lift at different things at different times, but you can have this end goal of doing this workout challenge together. And you can share your experience, or you could train for a 5K while he's gone. And when he comes home, you go and you run one together. You could plan a trip with different things involved in it, and you can plan it while he's gone, and you can both research and find different things to do in that area and come back together and go explore together and have this vacation. So embark on a new adventure with your partner to increase experimental intimacy. Plan something that you haven't done together. Is there a craft, not a craft, but a art project or thing, you could learn to draw together over Zoom or Facebook Messenger, or however you communicate. You could take a class. So you don't have to do everything together, as we know, because we're not going to, because, well, our spouses are deployed. We're going to be doing different things, or they're going to be gone to the field, or they're just not going to like the same thing of us. And that's great. But you also want to make sure to do things together as much when you can, and to find things together that help to form that experimental intimacy. The last one that I want to talk about is spiritual intimacy. Now, religious practice isn't necessary for spiritual intimacy, but it can serve the purpose, right? Spencer and I, we have the same religious practices, but that doesn't mean that you and your spouse are going to, and that's okay. Now, praying and worshiping as a couple could count as a spiritual intimacy moment. For me, praying for my husband when he's deployed or when he's gone. Praying for him every day, even when he's home, helps to build that spiritual intimacy. As I pray for my children, I feel more connected to them, my family members, my friends. When I pray for you guys, I feel connected to you. When I pray for my military wives whose husbands are deployed or whose husbands are struggling with PTSD or who just had a baby or whose husband just left for basic, I pray for you guys. I think about you, and that helps me to feel connected. So what are some other ways that you can feel spiritually connected? Watch the sunrise or set together. And maybe, if we're on the other side of the country, like if one of you is in Korea, say, because Korea, where we're at in Fort John, up in upstate New York, is a really good example. One of us could watch the sunrise and the other one could watch the sunset because of the time difference. And we can talk about it and the beauty that we're seeing. And that can help with some spiritual connection. When your spouse is home, taking a walk together and just enjoying the beauty of nature and being together. What is your sense of purpose? Why are we here? Reading from scriptures together, or a scriptural type book, a daily devotional type of a book. And you can do that. You can read together, whether your spouse is home with you, out in the field or deployed, or if he's somewhere where he can't call, because that happens too, right? They don't have their phones for a set amount of time. You can still read the same passages or the same book of scripture. And then when you do get to talk, you can talk about the insights that you had, and that can help you to increase your spiritual intimacy. So, can you see how being intimate is so much more than just having sex? There are so many different levels of it. And really, it comes back to what we're choosing to do, what we're choosing to think. So just to recap, the 4 types of intimacy that we talked about today is emotional intimacy, being willing to share your thoughts and feelings, the good and the bad. Intellectual intimacy, being willing to have open discussions about things that you may or may not agree on, and being willing to learn what the other person is learning about. Experimental intimacy, trying new things together and seeing what you like. Go to a different type of movie, learn a new skill together, train for a 5K. And last one we talked about is spiritual intimacy, finding ways to draw closer together, praying for each other, reading scriptures together, doing a daily devotional, enjoying nature. All of these things will help us to grow together as a couple. They can help us to feel that connection that we want when our spouses are home or gone. And as I've implemented these things into my relationship with my spouse and with my children and friends and family members, I have seen it greatly improve my life. I have seen it improve the lives of the women that I work with as they work on even just one of these things, as they work on emotional intimacy and they're willing to share more with their spouses, how that has greatly improved their relationship. And I know that can be the case for you. So if you like this podcast and you would like to find out what coaching can do for you and work with me, you can sign up at Maria Strange Coaching /work for me. I'm offering free 60-minute sessions, and I would love to see what coaching can do for you. So what are you waiting for? Sign up. Let's chat. All right, ladies, have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.